Well, hello and welcome back to the channel. This is the RevOpsCharlie YouTube channel, and today we've got another episode of RevOpsCharlie Demo Day, where I get the opportunity to speak to founders and revenue leaders at companies that are in the revenue tech stack, supporting the sales, marketing, and customer success ecosystem. And today I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome Nick, co-founder at Trumpet, where we're going to be talking about all things digital sales rooms and digital selling. So Nick, welcome to the channel.
Thanks so much for having me, Charlie. Looking forward to it.
Can't wait. Been looking forward to this one. So Nick, for those that are not familiar with either yourself or with Trumpet, maybe you want to just spend a minute and just introduce yourself and your role and a bit of the background to Trumpet as a company.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, personally, I'm one of the co-founders of Trumpet. There's three of us, entrepreneurial background. So I had a previous company in the UK called Design by Night, which hopefully lots of UK people will know. We were fortunate enough to exit that in 2019. And then COVID hit, so I was meant to just sit on the beach for a few years, but instead we thought, let's go again, and that led us to come up with the idea for Trumpet, which we'll get into. We're now a couple of years old. We've got over 8,000 users across the globe. We're VC backed, and yeah, there's a team of about 25 of us, mainly in the UK at the moment.
Fantastic. Definitely, I can hear you got the entrepreneurial bug, and you just go again as soon as you've had that exit. So I mentioned in the introduction the phrase a digital sales room. For those that are not familiar with that, perhaps let's start with a little bit of background. What is a digital sales room, and what kind of problems it's solving?
Yeah, so digital sales room is the leader in the buyer enablement space, I would say, which is definitely the new trend for 2024. It started to get some spice behind it in 2023. And what that is, it's all about creating a journey for the buyer that is a pleasurable experience to buy from. And the main thesis is if you can provide a better buyer journey, the buyer is going to buy more from you and quicker. So the idea of a digital sales room is creating a personalized and collaborative digital space where you can work with the buyer to get the deal done. So instead of all the email back and forward and sending lots of links and attachments and Google Drives, you can do it all in one space and move the buyer along with personalized targeted content from post demo to get the deal done.
I think COVID has changed buying and selling, obviously, in a way, I guess, more transformational than since email and the internet came along. I started selling in '99, and a lot of that involved traveling to go to customers' sites. And I remember queuing up in reception, watching the other vendors' sales teams come out while you wait to go in and present to your board at the board table. And then COVID came along, and just that stopped overnight. It's like, right, well, they're not in the office, we're not in the office. And then I kind of thought, well, maybe when the pandemic dies down, then we're going to get back into a world where people are back in the office. And whilst there's dribs and drabs of that, certainly at the enterprise and strategic level, for the majority of deals happening, that you can travel to the customer, there's no one there because they're not working there either. And so you've got these much more fragmented buying groups where they're in different locations, and people are just having to figure out a different way of communicating and connecting these buying groups. I guess you're seeing that yourselves.
Yeah, definitely. We actually looked at a recent Gartner report, which staggeringly said 80% of all global sales interactions by 2025 will occur in a digital space, which is absolutely crazy. So it shows that's the way it's going. COVID definitely accelerated that. But as you said, you could still go, for example, and maybe do a face-to-face demo with someone, but invariably you're going to have multi-stakeholders behind that person you're demoing to, or that champion that you're dealing with, who aren't going to be in the same space, who aren't going to be in the office, or who might be around the world. So the idea of these digital sales rooms is when you follow up after, say, that first meeting, you then create a space, not just for you and your champion, but also for the multi-stakeholders that might be involved in that buying journey. So we say it allows you to sell when you're not in the room.
Yeah, yeah. And when you're thinking about the types of companies that are using digital sales rooms and using Trumpet, is there an ideal customer profile? What's the sweet spot for you?
Yeah, so for us at the moment, definitely B2B, SaaS companies. We have quite a wide range of customer base, down from the solo trader, SME, SMB, up to companies like Sky and Amex using us as well. So we have a full range. What we found at Trumpet is B2B, SaaS, and up to about 300-400 employees as a total company can roll out Trumpet incredibly quickly in weeks and start to see the benefits super quickly.
Mm. I was doing some research recently about healthcare and life sciences and medical device companies, and they still have a very traditional field-based sales teams where they're out on the road, they're going around their customers, and very inefficient, really, in terms of the amount of time they're in front of customers. And the phrase that this report used is that healthcare and life science companies want to become more like bionic salespeople, which was a reference to sort of tech salespeople it's a human that is supported by all of this technology. And I like that idea of sort of bionic. And I can imagine that there's a lot of these non-tech industries that are trying to benefit from a lot of this and become more efficient.
Yeah, 100%. So, I won't go into the actual names, but, a lot of our even larger clients aren't actually in the sort of SaaS space. Some of them have field teams. And what we've seen that's really exciting is, on the one hand, we've changed their behavior, that actually, instead of these field reps, they're splitting the team and actually having some field reps that actually don't want to travel anymore and want to be at home, and they can actually sell to more people quicker. But the ones that do want to still go in and meet the person face to face, they can actually present the digital sales room instead of a PDF or something when they're there, and then follow up with the digital sales room link to that person they've met, who then will obviously share it internally. So it's not only enhancing the in-person experience, but we're also helping companies sort of change the behavior of their teams as well.
Yeah. And when you're starting these conversations with your customers, do you see it's kind of top down, where someone, management or leadership, says, right, this is a new behavior, we need digital selling? Or are you seeing it bubble up from the bottom, where individual sellers that are trying to drive their own performance?
Both. We've had lots of revenue leaders. So, a typical ICP sort of top down that comes to us is a VP of sales, a VP of RevOps, buyer enablement team, who are ready for the trends. They want to get ahead of the trends. They want their company selling in a modern way. And they've come to us and they've said, look, we know about buyer enablement, we know about digital sales rooms, let's take a look at Trumpet. Invariably, hopefully they really like it and then implement it top down. However, we've had a lot of success from AEs just finding Trumpet. You can actually just get going for free if you're a single user, and just playing with it, getting going and winning deals without even speaking to us. And that's actually provided us with some great ammunition to then go up the chain, because, we will then step in, work with that AE, make them our champion. And if we can go up the ladder already saying, hey, this tool you didn't even know we're using, we've just closed 2 deals with it. And I think the beauty of Trumpet is you can get going in a matter of half an hour if you want to, or you can do a big proper setup. So whether it's top down or bottom up, we're seeing really quick ROI, which is helping our own sales process.
Yeah. And in those top down ones, where does that budget typically sit?
Varies again. So now we're finding there is a lot more budget in the sales space, so sales tech. Obviously you've got your CRMs and your likes of your Gongs and your Clarys and all of those. So there's already budget there. We've seen some marketing budgets being used for Trumpet, because Trumpet is a very good way of standardizing your outbound marketing material as well. You can use us as a content management system as well. So marketing teams really love how they can control the message and the branding that AEs are sending out. So it's coming out marketing message marketing pots. And we're seeing some forward-thinking companies having a buyer enablement / sales enablement budget. And obviously we fall easily into that one.
And are there, or I said, what are the most common metrics that you hear from customers that they're saying, right, because we've rolled out digital selling, because we've rolled out digital sales rooms, these are the metrics that we're seeing change?
Yeah, and it's really exciting for us because especially in this sort of tough period where, let's be honest, selling in any industry has become tough. Budgets are being are much tighter. So you really need tools to have an impact. And we're definitely not a sort of vitamin fluffy tool. When people implement us, they can see that they're closing more deals. So their win rate's going up. The sales cycle time is going down. So they're winning more deals and quicker, so more revenue quicker. So two obviously fundamental metrics for RevOps teams. And what we really like, but it's difficult to sort of track it as a metric, is a lot of our users send us messages from their customers. It's just saying, oh my God, like we've never done this before, but we want to tell you that we just loved being sold to. That tool you used to close the deal and sell to us was brilliant. So it's that's a lot more of like a fluffy metric, but that is our thesis: is that buyers are going to enjoy buying from you a lot more, which means they will buy from you. Actually, we absolutely love it when we see that feedback as well.
And I think we'll talk about this a little bit more when we see the tool, but those mutual action plans about being able to help that buyer to bring their own project in on time is hugely powerful to them, because like it's commonly said, selling is hard, but buying is even harder. And for many of these organizations, it's the first time they bought this type of SaaS product or integration, whatever it might be. And so to be able to help them lay out this carpet of this is what's going to happen and that's going to happen provides a huge amount of value to them.
Yeah. Mutual action plan is just one small cog of Trumpet, but probably one of the most used cogs, precisely because of what you said. There's plenty of stats out there that show that, deals don't progress, not because they don't necessarily need or understand your tool, but there's this stasis, this concern of, do I want to take myself down that road? Do I want to be the champion? Do I know how to implement a tool like this? So actually it's better if we just stay with the status quo and don't go down that road. So having things like mutual action plans within your digital sales room is a fundamental way to reassure the buyer that we've done this as well, and this is our clear route to success with you. These are the steps we need to follow. This is the accountability of who's going to look after what. And these are the stakeholders you're going to need to bring in to get the deal done. And having a mutual action plan that you can both work from is just a really nice way to show your champion that you're on their side and you know that the job they're doing is also tough, but you're here to talk them through it.
And so the final question before we take a look at the tool. So what are people doing today if they're not using a digital sales room? And then if they do decide to go down the digital sales room route, you don't need to mention other companies, but maybe categories. Like, what are the other options that someone might have to move into digital selling?
So yeah, if you're not using digital selling at the moment, you're predominantly probably using email, using PDFs and decks and slides, Google Slides, and the various iterations of presentation software and AI presentation software that's out there now. But that's a very static way. It's a very, you then me. It's not a very collaborative way of selling. And I think they say now the average number of emails is something like 50 or 55 emails to get a deal done. So very old tools. PDFs were invented in the 70s and we're still using them. So yeah, it's mainly emails. Moving into digital sales and maybe not doing a digital sales room yet would probably be more, your tools like Google Drive. So you can set up a Google Drive and have your presentation in there. You can have spreadsheets in there. You can comment in there as well, or tools like Notion, which is like an iteration of Google Drive, probably a lot more user friendly. So that is a way of people moving into the digital selling world. However, what we found is they're not sales tools. So everything we build at Trumpet is for RevOps team. So sales and customer success and account management. So every aspect of it is thinking about our own ICP. And obviously a big thing, which I'll show you quickly when we go in the tool, is the data. So the data that we can generate for you, we call buyer engagement data, buyer intent data, is something that these generic tools just can't provide you with.
Yeah. Well, let's use that as a lovely segue into taking a look at the tool, because it's such a visual aspect, digital selling, and this is what the buyers are buying into in terms of your customers' buyers. So if you want to share your screen, that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can see that coming up now. Beautiful.
Nice. So yeah, a demo would normally take a lot longer, but I'll very quickly show you, the power of Trumpet and a digital sales room. So I mentioned previously about templates. So when we work with our customers, we create these templates with them, and they can be based on various different use cases. So we might have an outbound template, we might have a post-demo or post-disco call template, we might have an onboarding template, we might have an account management template. And within that template is a chance for you, your founders, marketing, to create the 90% standardization of what all of these sales interactions are. A lot of them are standardized, and then that 10% is left for the CSM or the account exec to personalize it for that customer. So I've just put an intro pod. So this is as if I was introing someone to Trumpet. We integrate with the likes of HubSpot and Salesforce very tightly, two-way integration. We actually use HubSpot at Trumpet. So let's just say I pulled through Figma deal from my HubSpot, into Trumpet. And let's say I'm selling to Sarah at Figma. So I just hit next. We're very collaborative. So you can share your pods amongst your teams, amongst your different SDRs, AEs, customer success, the whole team, just yourself. So everyone can share best practices as well. And then even with my dodgy Wi-Fi at home, we can see within, 5 seconds, we've created this digital space, instantly personalized to Figma and to Sarah. We pull through their imagery. This is Figma's imagery. We pull through their logo. The background can change to whatever you want. You can change it to Figma colors if you want. You can change it to your own company's imagery. We just prefer a nice clean look here. And how it works is then you have these widgets or content blocks. You can see this one is a video screen record widget. And you can see these on the right here. So we have all of these different content blocks on the right. And they are simply drag and drop. So let's say we were going to embed a client logos. So let's say this was, for a vertical Figma. So let's say I'll do other tech tools. Simple as that. You then have a logo block that you can just click on the imagery. You can search your own image library that you can create with marketing, or you can just pull through and upload images direct to Trumpet. And then you get your block there, and you can call this title, whatever you want. And there you have a content block. So you can see you don't need any dev skills or anything like that to create beautiful spaces. And then you work down the page with widgets. So this is our own version of Loom and Vidyard. We've actually got our own demo screen recording here. So you can see that down here. We've got our own voice note widget. So if you want to do a very quick personalized voice note to someone like Sarah, you can just actually drop the voice note in, and then just say, "Hey, Sarah, this is Nick from Trumpet. I put together this space to show you exactly what we're about. Have a look down, have a look at all the videos I put in and demos, look across the pages at the top, and you can book in a demo with me direct from my HubSpot calendar at the bottom of this space. I look forward to hearing from you." So done. So then, within 5 seconds, Sarah would open this pod. We call them pods or spaces. And she can see it's branded to Figma, and there's a personalized voice note. So this personalized way of selling goes a very, very long way. What I've done here with this video is actually create a generic video but then I've added a variable title, so it also automatically pulls through Sarah's name, so it looks like it's personalized, but it's actually a generic video. So I said you have all these different widgets down the page, and then we have these pages across the top. These aren't sets. You can call them whatever you want. You can add new pages as you go. You can delete pages. You can do whatever you want with these. So for example, another great use case we have is you can create a page for a stakeholder. So you can create a page just about digital security. You can create a page just about the costs for the finance team, and you can actually point your champion to send individual pages to the individual stakeholders as well. So you can create these pages however you want. So this is our customer stories one. This is embedded our GT reviews, so an integration we've got with G2, so it shows all of our reviews. And then we have some really nice case studies, which we link out to on our blog, on our website. So you can just create these spaces super simply, super quickly. The other side is integrations, as I just mentioned. So we basically have integrations with most sales tools that we hope anyone is using. We're not looking to be an island. We're looking to integrate. So, for example, if you have an Airtable, talking a mutual plan in Airtable with your customer, you can just drag that into the pod and have that show in the pod, and your customer never needs to leave there. We've got our own e-signature tool, but if you use DocuSign, you can just drag that into our pod as well and get your documents signed from within the pod. We've got a super tight integration with Gong, so you can drop in your call recordings. We're working at the moment of integrating all of your call summaries as well automatically into our pods, and all of our data pushes back to Gong as well. And as I mentioned, people just starting out on digital selling might be using Google. So you can actually drop in your Google Slides or your Google Sheets into this pod as well. So the idea is it is a one centralized space for you and the buyer without them having to have loads of links and loads of attachments to emails back and forwards. So you can see all of our various ones here. What does the customer see? So I'll take you into live mode. They don't have to download Trumpet. So let's say you've just done a demo call with them and you follow up with an email and say, hey, Sarah, thanks so much for our chat. I've put together everything we discussed in our space where we'll work together from now on. And you have the link. Sarah can then open this pod like this. She doesn't need to download Trumpet. She can listen to the voice note. She can play your videos. So very engaging. And the mutual action plan that we talked about, I've got one down the bottom here. So here is a mutual action plan. You can create lots of different steps. You can create steps within steps. You can lay out what needs to be done. You can then assign roles to that mutual action plan, as I said. So one could be Sarah, one could be me. You can attach files that they can then download. And now I'm Sarah in this pod. I can actually engage with it too. And I can tick stuff off to get it done. So you can work together as a team to get the job done. The other big part of it is collaboration. So we've got a full collaboration suite on the right here. So you can add comments and questions. If I was Sarah, I could ask anything about the pod. We've got integrations with Slack and Teams and obviously your own email. So anytime a customer engages or comments with your pod, you'll get a notification and you can reply direct from your email or in here and actually build out a conversation between you and the customer replying. You can even annotate. So if there's something you're specifically interested in, you or the customer, they can annotate a part of the pod, ask a question, and then you can have lots of different annotations going around the pod, and you can see who's actually added the annotation as well. So it's a really great way to keep collaboration within the space. Now, this is really, really important in this buyer enablement world, because once you've gone back and forward with your champion, let's say for 3 or 4 weeks, and they've asked you questions, you've added extra pages that they wanted, all Sarah now needs to do is hit share. And she can share this pod with her team and just be like, I've been speaking to Nick about Trumpet for the last month. I think it could be great for Figma. Take a look. And then she can send this to her RevOps team at Figma and her COO and VP of sales. And then they can log in here and actually just see everything that we've added, play the videos, look at the demos, see all the questions that Sarah has asked and I've answered. And they can then collaborate as well. So they can then question and query everything. So this whole idea of you selling when you're not in the room is never more stark than here. You're not relying on Sarah to create a Frankenstein email of the conversations you've had over the last month. It's all here. Everything that they need to make the buying decision is within this pod. So That's what the customer sees. And the last part I just want to quickly show you is the analytics, because that's super, super important. So if we just get back to my dashboard and let's just load up a demo here. So yes, one of these ones. So this is just another demo pod I've got here. So when you're in the editor mode, you can also go into your Insights tab. Now in your Insights, you can now see all the activity. So we call this buyer engagement data that's going on in your pod or in your space. Now imagine if you were just sending emails back and forward and attaching decks and Google Slides and stuff like that, you have zero visibility of what's actually being looked at. You might have a software that's tracking whether the email's been opened or not, but that's it. And you're then going back to your HubSpot or your Salesforce and updating it. But really, you've got no idea what's going on. With our signals, you can actually see who's logging in and what they're looking at. Are they updating a mutual action plan? Have they played a video? Have they looked at your PDF? Have they played your voice note? You could get all of these signals, as we call them, and giving you that live data. What we also do is, let's say Sarah, at our Figma example, shares that with her team. When the team come into Trumpet, we tell you who's looking. Super powerful. So again, if you just do it over an email, you've got no idea. So we will create this auto-enriched stakeholder map for you of all the different members of the team that are looking at your pod, your space, and their job and who they are on LinkedIn. You can then set a sort of stakeholder persona to them. So are they the buyer? Are they an influencer? Are they the champion? And start to build out a stakeholder map. So if you do deals with multi-stakeholders, you can then start to build up like a real plan of who's looking at what and who's interested in what. You can even click on one of the stakeholders at the top and see specifically what they've done. So if you've got the CFO, you can see, have they looked at the finance page and the costs that you've put in there? If they haven't, you might want to go into the pod and give them a nudge, for example. So you get real insights. So that's your sort of user insights. You then get deep pod insights, so pod or spaces. So you can see who's looking at what are your most popular pages within your pods, when were they last looked at? You can drill down by each pod and see which user is looking at which content, how long are they engaging with each page. We break that down by page or by viewer, and by each interaction within your pod as well. So for the first time ever, you're getting these deep analytics that you never normally see if you're just relying on emails and phone calls. And obviously with all this data, we also push it straight back to your CRM. So whether you use HubSpot or Salesforce or others, all of this data, which I'll show you here. So we're in my HubSpot here now. You can see all of our pod data is being pushed back to your HubSpot deal as well. Not only that, is we've got our own Trumpet card in HubSpot, where you can then see all your pods that are linked to that customer and their signals. And we also create auto enrichment data for you. So any new person that opens the pod, we create a new content card, a new contact card within your Salesforce or HubSpot too. So we're enriching all of that data in your CRM automatically. I'll stop speaking now.
No, that's been a fantastic overview. It's hugely powerful. I'm guessing there's a whole new set of skills for a seller to develop that are beyond picking up the phone and sending an email. This is web design. This is behavioral analysis. It's analytics. Have you got any sort of lessons learned from customers that have rolled this out, I guess, in a top-down method to help level up their sellers to this new way of working?
Yeah, I think what we found is not to overthink it. I think what you really need to do, and it's someone like, what yourself, RevOpsCharlie, would be very good at, is helping them define the message. So, most people we speak to, we're actually like, okay, well, look, we will create these spaces with you. We can get you going within a week. But do you know what your main message is? Do you know what your up-to-date bits of content are? Do you know who your ICP is? And it's surprising that most don't. Most just here's our main sales deck, go out and sell, basically. Here's a list of people from Apollo or whatever to go out and start selling to. So we work with them, or people like yourselves can work with them on actually really defining with sales and marketing what their message is, who their ICP is, what content really works, what delivers, and start putting that into the pods as well. Once you get to grips with that, all the other stuff comes really, really easily. As I showed you, to spin up that Figma pod took me 5 seconds. Anyone can do it. You don't need any skills whatsoever. So you don't really need to be, that's the beauty of it. You don't need to be a designer or digitally native to understand it. Once you set up your templates and they're ready to go, your whole team can then just get sending out these pods. And because all that data is pushing back to your HubSpot, we're not asking you really to, or Salesforce or wherever, we're not asking you to live anywhere else. So, I would imagine you're used to using your CRM. So all this is adding more data that's enriching your CRM or your Gong or tools like that.
Well, Nick, it's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for guiding us through the world of the digital sales room and why it's becoming so important, and then giving us a view into Trumpet. What's the best way of people getting in touch with you or with Trumpet?
Yeah, so my Trumpet email is nick@sendtrumpet.com. Our website is sendtrumpet.com, or I'm very active also on LinkedIn. So Nick Telson-Sillett, if you want to find me on LinkedIn. Look forward to connecting.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure some people will come your way. Thanks so much for joining the channel, and look forward to chatting again soon, Nick.
Thanks so much for having me, Charlie. Cheers.